talking about hip hop culture, about the role of women and the image of women and the way that they're used in hip hop culture, the lack of female artists, even though that this year has been one of the most fruitful years for women within the culture. So what's your reflection on women in
Female artists?
You see, you know how you said this year it like expanded, but the context in which they're saying it, it just made it even worse. Like the females, like the thing that they're saying in it, like women, sorry,
yeah.
woman, like the woman artists,
It's off the chain, man.
they're saying some crazy stuff. Like
Rhapsody, one of the greatest female rappers ever to me. Never will get as much love as like a Megan Thee Stallion or as like a Nicki, even though Nicki can spit, a Nicki Minaj, because like you got to do what sells. What sells is like the over-sexualization of like their bodies. So like I don't know. I can never clown somebody for like make fun of somebody for like trying to like get their bag, get money, because like you got to do what you like. If you're doing something you love to do, like you love rap, I really believe in like you doing something you feel like isn't a job. Like you'll never technically work like a day in your life. So like at some point I understand like you got to make money. Like take like Cardi B for instance. Like she was a stripper. Like she would go to she was in high school and she would cross the street to a strip club to work to pay money to like survive, like to make money to survive. And like her body got her where she is. And like for me to knock her on something like that, one I think would be like, how could I judge someone if I've never like been in that situation to the point where I felt like that's what I needed to do. And at the same time, I'm kind of like contributing to the over-sexualization of women, because at the same time, like Bodak, like all those songs sold, like they went platinum for a reason. People thought like it was dope, like people listened to it. So like I will never sit here and be like, how dare she, or like, wow, that's wild, they're saying crazy things, because it's like I'm feeding into it.
no, I understand that, but when I say it's crazy, like you said, I would never knock someone for the hustle. You got to make your ends meet. Like you said, her experience, like I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
So then you got to get it how you can, and also just to see that statistically she could have been in a worse predicament and she made something out of herself, I would always respect that and say she made it out. She found a way, and I'm always gonna like respect that. I'm just saying it's crazy, as in like, you know, if God, like, you know, in the future, if I had a daughter or whatever, I wouldn't want her to say that, and I would hope that I would not put her in a position that she would have to grow up and do those things in order to make ends meet.
But what if you had a son and he was rapping about the stuff too? But
Yeah,
like,
it's a hard.
so like you're saying like if your daughter rapped like about her body, that's like a no. But if your son was rapping about stuff he did with women, like would that be okay to you? Be honest though, like that's what I'm saying. Like you're contributing to that.
He paused real hard.
Yeah, you gotta sit back and like.
But that's the thing. And so let's think about this double standard, right? Like where, like we notice the content of the music of women who are artists in hip hop, but we don't necessarily hold the content of male artists up to the same standard of critique, right? Because there's this image that we have of women that they're supposed to be perfection, and they're not supposed to talk about this. But why is that?
See, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, and that's why. Truthfully, I believe in self-confidence. Like, I don't think that no one is better than me, because there's only one me and there's only one you. I don't feel like no one's better than me, but overall, in general, and maybe it's because I just grew up with like a single mother. To me, I feel like, in general, a strong woman, or like if you take like a man and a woman, I just feel like my expectations for a woman is high.
Your expectations?
I just feel like I hold like a strong woman in a higher pedestal than a male. And that's because how I grew up with like a single mother, and just seeing how strong she was and how she raised me to the man I am to be. So that's why I always say that it's different for me, because I just value overall. I feel like women and all aspects are just in a higher pedestal to me.
But so when we do that, like I think we remove the agency from women to make choices for themselves, right? And so when we talk about like feminism and hip hop, to say that a woman shouldn't rap about this because they're a woman is removing agency. Like if we say that people should be able to choose the way in which they exist in their life, then they should be able to rap about the same thing, right? And so some of the other critiques I think that come up is that there's a lack of variety, right? So when you have like Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, that they get to kind of be the shining examples of what a female hip hop artist is.
And then you have Young M.A.
And rap
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
doesn't get that
Or
that,
Young
that
M.A.,
shine.
who's also
Young-
top notch.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's a lack of variety, like
Yeah.
a representation. I think that's part of the issue.
Yeah, like Young M.A., I feel like we don't even talk about her when we talk about female artists, I think, for the most part. I feel like that's because she doesn't really appeal to like that type of experience. Like her experience, I feel like any guy listens to Young M.A., I feel like they're like, yo, like that bar was hard.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like if you're listening to Meg Thee Stallion or like Cardi B, like I'm less likely to say that.
It's
You know
like
what I mean?
it's like you're sexual. She can spit, but people don't. Like, you're not going like when you're listening to Young M.A., you're listening for bars. Like you're listening for the quality of the music, not for like the sexualization of her. Because like hip hop culture especially speak about hip hop culture. There's like a general standard of one like homophobia, like a lot of like toxic isms and I said isms, phobias as well.